These are solar-powered cameras that use AI to capture vehicle details. And that includes, ladies and gentlemen, license plate, make, model, color, unique features like bumper stickers, what you have on the back of your car. It all goes into a database, color, unique features, and it's all saved to a searchable database that is shared to law enforcement. Brad, what could possibly go wrong here? Let me just start with this. There have been, he's laughing already. This could be the full hour, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea how long we're going to go with this. But there have been 4 deputies in my area that have been fired for misusing flock cameras, and it's all been for personal reasons. To track somebody, to follow up with a personal vendetta, a stalking incident. And these are deputies. And those are the 4 that got caught, Brad. Your former law enforcement, tell me about it, and then I'm going to tell you why they're never going to go away, and people will be shocked by my response. Go ahead.
Yeah, so funny enough, actually, a buddy of mine still works for the department I used to work at. They have flock cameras down there in that city now, and I did ask him. I said, "Hey, whatever happened to some of the local dirt bags we used to chase around the hood, over and over again?" And he kind of laughed, like, "Yeah, they're all in jail." I said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Yeah, well, we got these flock cameras. They got the shot spotter system down there, the microphones that detect gunshots. And so anytime something happens, like they can pinpoint where it happened. They got cameras on it. They can see who did it. Then they go get warrants, just go pick them up and put them away." And so, on that level, it sounds like a great idea. However, what you touched on, Mark, is the dark side of it, which is these things suck up so much data on everybody. You pass one of these cameras on your way to the store to get a gallon of milk.
Yep.
Guess what? It's been recorded. It's been saved. And what can be done is they can put together essentially a mosaic, right? So they have you here at this time. They have you there at this time. They have you somewhere else at this time. And they can pull all that together and put together a picture of what you've done that entire day. And the argument like, well, you don't have any privacy when you're in public. Mm-hmm. I don't think that took into account the idea that there was going to be the capability by the government to watch you from the second you leave your house until the second you go back into your house, to save it in a searchable database where anybody with access to it can essentially download your entire life. And when you have deputies, you have agents of the state that are obviously willing to misuse it for personal, unfortunately, there are people out there that they just cannot resist the urge to do the wrong thing. And when they have too much access and too much ability to do it and think they won't get caught, they'll do it. And so this is what we get. We talk about this all the time, though, Mark, with other things the government does, which is if you give the government any ability to limit or infringe upon your rights, they will take that inch and run with it, and you will never, ever get it back.
No, you are right. Justin, do they concern you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the old adage holds: power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And this is a lot of power to hand over to the state. I don't think anything good will come to the people for doing this.
Ryan?
Couldn't agree more. And the problem I have with these, and the argument for them is the one Brad made, right? Which is the one I hear law enforcement making all the time, which is, hey, we're just looking for the license plates of the bad guys. And while that may be true at a certain level, maybe that's why they were originally purchased, what ends up happening is the abuses start. And the reason the abuses start is because law enforcement has access to the data that these cameras collect without seeking a warrant. So that process of getting a warrant and then going and, probable cause, getting a warrant, and then going and searching or surveilling somebody, it gets reversed. It's very much like a red flag law where you're presumed guilty until you prove yourself innocent. And this is the same thing that goes on here. Unfortunately, because there is no warrant, there is no check on law enforcement, they're abusing these cameras for all the reasons you mentioned, Mark. And the next generation of these quote unquote cameras are going to do more than just track your license plate. They're now able to listen to your AirPods that are in your car.
Hold on to that. Yep. Hold on to that, because we're getting ready to take a break. When we come back, we'll let Ryan expand on that. Then I'm going to tell you why they're never going to go away. And Brad alluded to it. We'll be back right after this. Ryan Petty, welcome back in. I want to go back to you. Finish your thought. And then I'm going to tell you why these things aren't going anywhere. Go for it.
Yeah, well, so it was established a while back that with just 4 data points, Mark, if I'm able to get the GPS pings off of your phone, just 4 data points, I can basically tell who it is. You can anonymize that data, but you give me those 4 data points, I can tell you who they are. You go back to the 2020 election, the fraud that happened there. How did they track those folks, those mules that were taking ballots? They saw their cell phone pings. They knew where they knew who they were, and they knew they knew that they were dropping those off at those ballot boxes. But what's coming is beyond, and will make Flock look like a 22, right? Basically, the next generation are going to identify you by the unique mix of devices you have. So if you've got AirPods, or you've got a Samsung phone, or a pair of headphones, or an Apple Watch, those devices traveling with your car will be associated with your license plate. They can create a profile of you. Again, this is all data that government's going to have. As gun owners, we should be sensitive to this, right? We have fought for years to keep the federal government from creating a database of gun owners, and they're creating a database of your license plate, the characteristics of your car, the electronics you travel around with. And unless you've got your devices in a silent bag, and even that isn't safe, because your car is emitting all kinds of signals at this point. Any new car is emitting those. They're creating a database that's searchable by law enforcement without a warrant. We should be up in arms about this. We should have put our foot down at the time the Patriot Act was passed. We should have gotten rid of that. And we've got to put our foot down now. I hope what you're about to tell me isn't going to ruin my day, because we've got to fight these. We've got to fight these. And there are some examples of jurisdictions pulling these cameras out, but it takes a lot of public fury to get them removed.
What Ryan just alluded to, and Justin, I want to give you some time on this as well. What Ryan just alluded to is the next generation of these cameras. So why should that concern you as a gun owner? Guys, if for example, I lived in Florida long before I lived in Georgia. When a cop pulls you over, and I was pulled over about 3 times in Florida by Highway Patrol and one local cop over the years, they already know you have a firearm because your concealed carry permit, this was before constitutional carry, is already tied to your driver's license. They know you have a CCW. A flock camera is going to be able to tell them that you have a gun just by virtue of the information it took by the license plate itself. Now, it's already illegal for cops to do what the cops in my jurisdiction, in my sheriff's department did. That's a violation of the law. One of them was tracking his ex. Okay, this is dangerous technology for everything that Ryan just said. Here's the problem, Brad. You alluded to it. Perfect segue to you. You have zero, and the Supreme Court has found this on multiple occasions, multiple cases, at least 3 that I'm aware of, zero expectation of privacy when you're in public. I can walk through a public parking lot and film your VIN number and your license plate, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it if you are in public, period. Now, Ryan, what you're talking about is the next generation that goes beyond that. That's where we might be able to get into this. But guys, I hate to tell you this. Brad, I'll take it right back to you. Get your comments. You have zero expectation of privacy in public, and the Supreme Court has found that multiple times. If it's visible to the eye, it can be photographed or recorded, Brad. It's that simple. It is illegal to use it for nefarious intent, but we all know, okay, there's a bad cop, bad accountant, bad lawyer, bad some profession, bad dentist in jail because they violate the law and they don't pay attention to it. They don't pay attention to don't use this information for nefarious purposes, sign, Brad. It's just the way it is right now.
Expectation of privacy in public, I have to kind of question of like, well, right. I mean, you don't have expectation of privacy at that moment, but like, is it reasonable to believe that what you do is not going to be recorded in a database and maintained for months on end, be searchable by anybody with a badge or a quote unquote need to know reason for eternity?
Well, look, you're on a security camera when you walk in a post office. That doesn't disappear.
Right.
Now, the flock information supposedly disappears after 30 days, just like a home recording or a Ring cam or something like that. And yeah, bold as a lion, you opened up a can of worms, brother. You did, but it's a great conversation. Go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
Yeah, but you're right. But that kind of gets into the wider conversation of our privacy has kind of been decimated years ago in anything you do actually private, whether it be on the internet, going out in public or anything else. I would encourage most people just to go ahead and operate from the standpoint of anything that you do that is connected to the outside world is going to be looked at.
Oh, it's recorded.
Right. Somebody's going to have eyes.
You can't go a mile from your house without being on a recording. You can't do it nowadays.
The government is not our friend.